He's the voiceover studio engineer of the Stars in Los Angeles, California, a Virginia Tech grad with a knowledge of recording studios unmatched in his field. He's a voice actor from Buffalo, New York, with 30 years experience in recording studios and behind the mic. He solves people's home voiceover studio problems in the blink of an eye. Together, there's no studio problem they can't solve, and they'll do it for you tonight. Welcome to East West Audio Body Shop. Now, live from a basement in Buffalo and an office in L.A., here are Dan Lenard and George Whittam.
Good evening. I'm Dan Lenard in the East.
And I'm George Whittam in the West.
And together we're East West Audio Body Shop. Shop.
Let me see if I can fix the display here of Dan while we're live on the air. Let's see if I can fix this.
What's the problem here?
Because as usual, I restart Source or the our Ustream program, and then it loses the region that I'm broadcasting, and everybody sees how the sausage is made. And while you're all actually here to see that, I don't want you to see how we make all of the sausage.
Right. We want to show you the what, not the how.
I don't want to show you how we make scrapple. Anybody from Pennsylvania? So,
anyway,
here we are.
We're here to solve your home voiceover studio problems. And if you do have a question and you'd like to be on our show in the next couple of weeks, you can write to us at EWABS. What is it, George? I keep forgetting.
EWABShop.com.
EWABShop@gmail.com.
If in doubt, go to EWABS.com, and everything you need to know is in one shiny place.
Right, EWABS.com, or on our Facebook page. You know how to get a hold of us. We're not hard to find.
If you can't find us, you must be Mike Elmore or something.
That's right. You're not looking.
We love you, Mike. All right.
Anyway, we've got lots of callers coming up tonight, and our special guest, John Taylor, will be joining us a little bit later and talking a little bit about radio and audio production and all that neat stuff that everybody thinks they need to learn, but are probably years away. But you get the right advice from the right people, and you're going to learn how to do it properly. Anyway, do we have our first caller on there, George?
I think we do. We got, let's see, who is it, actually? Dan?
It's good evening. Welcome to East West Audio Body Shop. Who's calling?
I guess that's me, Sandy Scher.
Hey, Sandy.
Where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Manhattan, New York.
All right.
All right.
Okay. Well, welcome to our show. And so what's it like being a voice actress in the heart of the Big Apple?
It's a lot of fun. There are a lot of agents here, a lot of managers and casting directors, and lots of auditions going on all the time. Wonderful coaches. It's a good place to be.
It is. It's always fun to visit. I'm here in Buffalo, but I get to visit New York and I get to visit Los Angeles and see all my friends. And it's always wonderful to get to New York City and occasionally, try and find an agent there or something, and they, door gets slammed in your face. Anyway. So you've been having a problem, have you not, Sandy?
I have been having a problem. I was sent some instructions by a client for a job, and it was sent as a zip file. And I could not open that zip file. And also at another point, I recorded an audition. I have a friend who's a sound engineer, and we were in his studio. We recorded it as a WAV file. He sent it to me on my email, and it came in as a zip file. I absolutely could not open that file. What happens is, if I try to open a zip file, it goes for some reason to Audacity, which is what I use. And then it says, Audacity did not recognize the type of file. And then it says, if it's uncompressed, try importing it using import raw, which I did try, but was not successful. So it's very frustrating to me that I can never open any of those files, that it goes, I don't even understand why it goes into Audacity, especially the one from the client, because that wasn't even a sound file. That was the script that they were sending me.
Right. Well, one of the things you've got to deal with when, getting zip files is to make sure you've got a proper unzipping file on your computer. Now, as much as I would love to see some unzipping going on, I would like to see it on your computer, and make sure that you get it, as it is. What?
Oi. Yeah.
Oi.
No. I think Dan's got the right idea. What might be happening is what happens is the computer tries to be smart for you and associates programs with file types. So in your computer, it got confused, and what happened now is when you get a zip file, it thinks that a zip file should be opened by Audacity, where it really should not be. So what you need to do is one of two things. You can either open WinZip or whatever zip program you have on there, but I think
RAR or it's a couple.
I have a Windows 7. I have a PC.
Yeah, if you have Windows 7, it should open zip files natively. Like, you don't need any other program to do it. But what's going on right now is I think what happened is any zip file on your computer is now associated with Audacity. So what that means is now you have to turn that off somehow. It can be done from the control panel. I can't remember all the exact steps to do it. It's sort of a do this, this, this. I could probably find it for you on Google and find the instructions on there. But you might want to do what you would probably want to do is do a Google search for changing file types in Windows 7, and it'll walk you through how to change that file association. But what you really need to do is just make sure you're opening that zip file and unzipping it or decompressing it so you can get to the files that are inside of it, and then opening those, and then opening the files inside it with the program that you're trying to use. And I think that's what's tripping you up. I think it sounds like to me.
Right, and then once you've got it unzipped properly, not all programs, depending on what they've sent you, it may not be able. You might not be able to open it up in Audacity, and you might need another program.
Well,
Twisted Wave seems to, and some of the other programs will listen to just about any file. And Audacity is supposed to respond to almost any type of file.
Yes, as long as someone's not sending you a file in a proprietary format. What would be a proprietary format? Well, maybe a Pro Tools PTF file. As long as they're sending as long as someone's sending you a WAV, an AIFF, or an MP3, you should be able to open that with anything, including Audacity.
But those are all sound files, and that happened. But as I said, I also received a text file. It had nothing to do with anything audio, and that was sent through as a zip. And the same thing happened. It put me into Audacity.
Right, and it doesn't matter. They could send you a picture of anything, a JPEG. They could send you any file, and if it was zipped up first, then your computer's going to think it has something to do with Audacity because it's confused. Yeah. So you have to now. What I would do is when you download a zip file, don't just double-click on it and let it open with Audacity. Right-click on the file, and you'll see a thing that says Open or Open With.
Right.
And then just tell it to open with Finder or tell it to open with what is it in Windows? Tell it to open with WinZip or some sort of program within Windows, not Audacity. Try some other application.
How would I find out the program that Windows 7 has to open up a zip file?
Well, Windows 7 normally Windows 7 will open a zip file natively without having to do jumping through any hoops.
Right.
So you have to undo that association to the zip file. Mm-hmm. There's a process to do this. I can't explain the whole thing in our show, but there's a process to reassociate the file type. Those are the buzzwords. Reassign or reassociate file type. In Windows 7. If you search for that, you should find the answer to the problem.
Thank you so much.
Cool.
Our pleasure, Sandy.
Bye-bye, guys. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, Sandy. Take care.
Right. And good luck with that.
Good luck. Bye.
Yeah, zip files are, sometimes they work with Macs. We don't seem to have a problem with them. It just opens it up and there it is.
Generally not. But you can have the same problem on a Mac. If you somehow mistakenly thought that a zip file was something else, maybe a JPEG, an MP3, the same thing will happen to a Mac. If you change a zip file to open with Audacity, it remembers a zip file as an Audacity thing from then on, and then it'll always open that way. Exactly. So that is a really big problem.
Right. All right. Do we have our next caller on the line with us?
I don't think so.
Oh, well.
Let's see. He has not appeared magically yet. What we usually do is we have a lot of our callers ready to go, and doesn't look like we've got him ready. He's not appeared on my magical Skype list yet.
I don't see him either.
So he may not be on the line. So
right.
what we could do, we can
just
run
vamp
with
it a
the
little
ball.
bit.
We can vamp it. Well, why did we take off last week, Dan?
Why did we take off? Well, you were exhausted after moving.
You got that right.
And, that was tough. And I had a pile of things going on. Plus, we really want to see how the show, if people would miss us if we were gone for a week.
No, that's a good point. Did anybody miss us?
Apparently they did. I got all sorts of email from people saying,
good.
"Where'd you go? What happened to you?"
Good. It's good to be missed.
It is. Lots of people say, "Well, you could, you could tell all your friends about us, and we'll be here." We're still debating whether we want to be on every week or maybe twice a month or something like that, because it's not easy to produce a show like this. We don't just show up on Sunday night. We got to find out who wants to be on, and we've got to get our special guest together, and we've got to, I've got to pick out the right shirt. It's not easy.
I have to roll out of bed.
That's right. And you're 3 hours behind.
Yeah. I had to get up really early today. No, but it's true. We really have to. There's a lot of, and we're doing this with just two people. I mean, any radio show that covers this much content in an hour usually has a cast of characters. And we have video thrown in, which is completely insane. I don't even know why I bothered. But anyway, it makes it more fun.
That's right. Well, we started it. We can't go back now.
Yeah, no, we're fully committed. Big time. Well,
I'll tell you what. Why don't we go to a break, and we're going to come back in just a couple of minutes, and we're going to talk about one of the things we wanted to discuss before we get to our next caller is about the iPad and what an amazing little tool this is, and some of the possibilities of. Boy, look how that changes the lighting in here.
It's pretty bright, huh? Yeah. That iPad puts out some light.
It does, and we're going to talk about that, and we'll be right back here on East West Audio Body Shop. So stay tuned.
VoiceOver Extra, the voiceover industry's online news, education, and resource center 24/7. Hundreds, probably thousands of free how-to articles for voiceover success, ranging from home studio to voice acting to business. A free voiceover industry directory, calendar of industry events, resource links, a store, and much more. Bi-monthly webinars on all topics of voiceover, free subscriptions to newsletters, reports, announcements, daily news, and features at voiceoverextra.com. VoiceOver Extra, the voiceover industry's online news, education, and resource center 24/7. Hundreds, probably thousands of free how-to articles for voiceover success, ranging from home studio to voice acting to business. A free voiceover industry directory, calendar of industry events, resource links, a store, and much more. Bi-monthly webinars on all topics of voiceover, free subscriptions to newsletters, reports, announcements, daily news, and features at voiceoverextra.com.
All right, and we're back here on East West Audio Body Shop. Dan Lenard here in Buffalo, George Whittam out in Los Angeles, and we're having just a wonderful time here this evening. And the weather here in Buffalo was 80 degrees here today. I hear it's really cold in Los Angeles. Anyway, for a couple of minutes, we wanted to talk about the iPad. See how that changes the lighting in here. A lot of people have been asking, and I've been seeing in a lot of the forums, people talking about, is the iPad really the future? Are we going to be able to use the iPad as a recording device? And the answer is eventually yes. And right now, sort of. I mean, it's a great little tool for getting on the internet and, seeing the East West Audio Body page there over at voiceextra.com. But there are lots of neat programs that are on here, programs that will run on your iPhone will also run on the iPad. For example, there's the cool one that comes with it. Well, let's see, which one was that? When you have 500 programs on this thing, you're never going to find what you're looking for immediately. But there's the let's see here. Well, you've got the camera, which you can record with. There's the audio tool. I mean, just all sorts of cool little things you can do with that. And measuring, like, give you a VU meter. And
all right. Well, what's the killer app? I mean, like, what is the thing that makes you go, this really is worth dropping five big ones, $500 on?
Right. The one I've been using, and if I can find it here, why is it so hard to find these things when you're just cruising through this thing? I've got
apps.
That's really what it is. There's too many apps on here. We've got Twisted Wave on here. Actually works really, really nicely on this. Here it is, Twisted Wave. Now, with Twisted Wave, you can. Here we are. Yes. Now put that one on, and boom, go to it. So you can, as you can see, and it goes like that too, which is kind of cool. Now stop that. You can use Twisted Wave on here like you use it on a regular Mac if you've got a Mac. It edits the same way, but the cool thing about it is once you've recorded your stuff and edited it and all that, and it gives you a few effects, not as many as you have in the your regular Twisted Wave, but it's got amplify and normalize and fade in and fade out and silence and insert silence. Kind of filters does it have? Low pass, high pass, low shelf, and high shelf. Not a big range, but essentially everything you should use anyway. Anything beyond that is pushing pushing the technology. But once you've got it edited down, and I mean this was actually I recorded my kids' school was doing the Hallelujah chorus, and I recorded it on the iPhone. And it sounded really good. But once you've got that on there, you can hit stop, and there's a little button up in the top here, and you just hit that, and it will send it as you save it as an MP3. It'll send it via email. So that's a really cool little feature that it has, and that's another program. But if you go into their app store, there's all sorts of different programs you can use along the lines of there's Bluefire, and there's some of the other ones that there are Pocket Voice, and there's the audio tool that comes with the operating system, that the voice memo systems, and that works really well too. Bluefire. And I actually have used this once. A couple of weeks ago, I was in the hospital. Maybe some of you heard about my little incident with my toe. And of course, what's the old joke about when you want to get voiceover work, make plane reservations or go in the hospital. And so, of course, the client says, I need you to fix a word. And I was actually able to do it using Twisted Wave and my iPad. And it actually worked really well. And I'm sitting there working on it, and I'm like, yes! And the wife's like, what are you doing? I'm like, I just fixed a file. And off it went, and my client was happy.
That's all that matters. Happy clients. I mean,
happy clients.
If it can make your client happy, it's worth the money.
Exactly. So the iPad is there now. I know Dave Quavassier was talking about this thing, the iRig or something along those lines.
Yeah, the iRig mic, or the iRig iMic, something like that.
Yeah, it's just a dynamic mic that goes in there. And some people have been talking about they've been able to interface a much better microphone into it. But I do hear that there is an interface that's going to go with the iPad very shortly.
Yeah, any day now.
Any day now. Yeah, it's whenever Jobs decides they want to let them have it. Yeah. And then we'll see that, and we'll see it, because actually there's a teleprompter on here you can use, ProPrompter. It's not too expensive. And a number of other very interesting programs, too.
It seems to me that ProPrompter would be pretty darn cool for reading long scripts.
It is actually quite cool for reading long scripts. If you've never seen ProPrompter before, I, of course, have that on here. We're going to get to our next caller in just a second. She's probably just sitting there going, what are they talking about back there? But I did want to show you ProPrompter, which you can get through their app store. Where's ProPrompter? It's usually on the
Yeah,
bottom.
show us that, and we'll go.
Somebody moved it on me here. Why is it not where it's supposed to be?
The kids. Just blame the kids.
Well, who's been using this damn thing? Why can I not? Somebody erased my ProPrompter. It's probably in the middle row here somewhere. Oh, okay, that's why. All right. Well, trust me, there's a program on here that will actually run as a teleprompter, and it can reverse, and you can put it like right in front of the camera, and it'll work like a regular television
And it
program.
scrolls at a certain. You set the speed, it scrolls, and you can tap to stop, tap to start. Right.
Right. And you can also, if you've got it on your iPhone, you can actually use the iPhone as a remote, which is also mega cool.
Well, that actually makes it a complete thing, because then you can be the iPad's over here across the room, or
Right.
4 feet away,
Right.
and the iPad's down here, or the iPhone is in your hand, and you're using it as your remote. Wow,
That's right.
freaking cool.
All right. Well, now that we've totally bored you to tears,
Geek.
If there's one thing that George and I are not, it's geeks. There are a lot of geeks out there that are like, you've got to have this and you've got to have that, and it's like, it's just stuff. It's depends on how you use it.
Yeah.
And speaking of stuff, I think it's time for our next caller.
Yes.
Good evening. Welcome to East West Audio Body Shop. Who's calling in from where?
Hi, is that me?
That would be you, yeah.
Okay. Hi, it's Diane Merritt from Greenville, South Carolina, formerly a Buffalonian.
Ah, yes. Yes, you missed the sponge candy and Wegmans and all that stuff.
It's wonderful.
Yes.
It really is.
People who don't know much about Buffalo don't know what they're missing. It's America's
Oh,
best
man,
hipster.
the food rocks.
It really does. People come here kicking and screaming, and they leave kicking and screaming, like you did.
I know.
Right?
I gain 8 pounds every time I go.
Anyway, and speaking of traveling, what was your question you had for us tonight?
Well, I do have a traveling question. I'm just fresh back from Nashville a few hours ago, actually. But I did not take my portable studio with me. Now, my home studio, I have a Neumann TLM 103. I have my DBX 286A. I've got my Mackie board. I have a PC. And I have Adobe Audition 3.0. For my portable studio, I just have my Dell laptop. I take my Neumann TLM 103 and a MicPort Pro, and I have Adobe Audition 3.0 on my laptop as well. So my question is how do I get my portable studio, since I don't have a DBX processor with me, how do I get it processed, the sound processed on my portable studio like my home studio would be?
Well, see, this is sort of a reverse logic question, at least the way I look at it. One, let me ask you up front, why do you use the DBX at home? What is it? Are you using it simply as a preamp, or are you using it for front-end compression, or what?
Right. I see. I'm not a geek like that, so I don't know. George, tell me why I have it, please.
I happen to know a little bit about it. I'm scratching my head right now, Dan. I can't remember right now when we did work together. Actually, I worked with Diane not too long ago. I can't remember if I had you bypassing a bunch of stuff on the DBX to do everything in software or not. See, the big question is
my DBX.
Right.
And I only there's only like one client that I have that requires me not to use my DBX, but otherwise I use it.
In other words, most of the time it's not in process bypass mode. In other words, the process bypass light is not lit most of the time. It's actually going through. And then if you look across, how many knobs are turned from the off position? Like, are you using the de-esser? Are you using the compressor? Are you using the noise gate? Are you using all of those features in the signal chain?
Yes, except for the enhancer LF detail.
Got you. Okay,
right.
Well, that's fine. I mean, since you have it, and since I was able to help you get it dialed in, it makes sense to use it. I mean, there's no reason. It's not taking away from what you do right now. But you are running into the biggest problem that people have when they rely on a piece of hardware for their signal chain. As soon as they hit the road, now what do I do? So
how do you make that sound?
Yeah,
again?
so what do you do? I mean, it can be done pretty well because you do have one of the best, most powerful audio editing softwares out there that has the ability to duplicate everything that the DBX does, easily. The one thing that the DBX can do that the others can't is if you were doing a session in real time over, say, a ISDN connection, and you needed to have all those effects happening in real time, the DBX will be doing that for you. But since what you're doing on the road probably almost always is recorded first and then edited and sent off, you have the luxury now of setting up processing presets in your software that closely replicates, if not duplicates, what the DBX is doing. So that's really what we have to do. We have to basically what we would do is you would send a file to Dan or I that sounds like you through the processor. And if it was me, I would come up with a preset set of processing presets in Audition that duplicate that sound from say a source. Let's say if you plug your mic in directly to, what do you have, a MicPort Pro?
Yes.
Yeah. If you plug that mic right into a MicPort Pro and recorded it direct straight through and gave me that file, I could, through some experimenting, come up with a set of plugins that duplicate the sound pretty darn closely. So you're not totally out of luck. It is totally doable. But that's what you do. We would set up a signal chain process in Audition that duplicates what you're doing with the DBX.
Okay.
That's all.
It's not. I mean, it's not easy. It's going to take practice. Of course, it brings up the question of why do we have to do stuff on the road all the time? Do you travel a lot?
Well, this year I have a lot of travel, but so far since I've been, the trips that I've already taken, I have not taken my portable with me, only because I just wanted to totally go on my little vacation.
Right.
But there might be a time where I have to go to Buffalo and stay for an extended period of time because my father's up there, that I might have to do that, bring it with me.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
or just go to Dan's house and use his studio.
That's right, and that's why we're here. We have an open door policy here at the Black Hole of Calcutta, and so got to make sure that if you really need to recreate that sound, you really have to have the best possible thing. And I think we might be talking about this a little bit later on in the show too. You've got when you're on the road, you've got to be able to create almost the same ambiance that you have in your home studio, and very, very difficult to do. Now, you can do it to fix a word, as I was talking about before on the iPad, or a phrase or something along those lines, but to redo an entire section or a sentence and try and insert it into something else, very, very difficult to do.
Yeah.
And even more difficult to do if you're not in your home studio without your regular studio monitors, and very, very difficult to recreate that same ambiance. So, so how do you do it? Really, the only way is through processing and a pair of really good headphones, or before you go anywhere, you call your clients and just say, "I'm on vacation. Leave me alone."
There you go.
It's a lot easier that way.
Wow, if you can get away with that, unfortunately, that is the way things have gone in voiceover. Is they expect you to be, because of technology. The double-edged sword of technology is, yes, you can work wherever you want, wherever you are, but now you're expected to work wherever you are.
Right.
It's just a horrible double-edged sword. Everybody said that computers were going to make our lives easier and save us time. And the exact opposite has happened. What's happened is now we're expected to do more work in less time.
We're totally invaded upon. And so you've got to make a point of talking with your client saying, "I'm going to be out of town unless it's an emergency. I'm not going to be able to really recreate what we want at the quality we want." So, that's the best thing to do.
Yeah.
Now, if you're doing imaging work or something that, political work where it's got to be instantaneous, you can probably get away with that stuff because it's a one-time shot and it's not really adjusting something that existed before. So you're actually creating a different sound than exists somewhere, in your regular studio. So
exactly. Well, thanks, Dan. We can definitely help you with that. Drop us a line, and we'll line up something to make that happen for you.
I will. Thanks so much, and thanks for all you guys do. I appreciate it.
Really appreciate you being on, too. Take care.
Okay.
Bye. Alrighty. Well, Well, right after the break, we have our special guest coming on, and a special guest indeed he is. John Taylor will tell us all about his fantastic career, and maybe if you give us a few tips on production, and probably we'll have a few points about what we were just talking about, too, because I'm sure he goes on the road all the time. And we'll be right back here on East West Audio Body Shops. And we are back here on East West Audio Body Shop. Dan Lenard here in Buffalo, George Whittam out in California, and joining us live in the studio. Can you believe it?
Here I am.
Here with us tonight is John Taylor. Good evening, John.
Be friends.
Thank you very much for turning the electric fence down to simmer, lowering the drawbridge, and allowing me to make it past the snarling hounds here at stately Whittam Manor, Santa Monica.
You might want to get the mic out of his face there, John.
Yeah. No, it might be better if we don't.
Okay, yeah, you might be right about that.
That's perfect.
Microphones love me. Cameras are rather indifferent.
Okay.
So
what kind of stuff do you specialize in, John? I mean, I know everybody's familiar with your voice and stuff, but what's your average day like? What type of work?
There isn't I get to play in so many sandboxes that I'm kind of unique in that. There are people that do, and we're very lucky to get to do that. Everything from radio imaging, commercials, radio commercials, TV commercials, political, narration, animation, characters, video games. I don't do phone prompts generally, and I don't like to do on-hold work because I really hate being on hold, and I don't want to be hated by people like me who hate being on hold.
Can I do yours, though? Can I go, thank you for calling John Taylor, and
How about Aflac commercials?
You can try that.
Kind of running late. I got to go.
Yeah. Well, that's all we have time for today.
Thanks so much. I have something for Diane Costello Merritt, or DCM as I love to call her, about the no outboard gear. It's all about being simple. That's my message today. This is what I bring to you, my people. It's all about being simple. And so I'm against. I have a Focusrite VoiceMaster Pro, which is a fine piece of rack equipment. It's just collecting dust. I have a Tube Pre. It was fine when we had racks of stuff collecting dust. So now it's about being simple and being able to duplicate the same audio chain. I have my entire audio chain that I use in my studio with me today. The whole thing, including the arm, which... Really? Yes.
He has a cool arm.
I do.
How do you pack that thing up?
In a backpack. You have to explain it to security when the TSA screener. But would it be easier to just? Yeah. This is a very nice arm. And George, I was actually talking to Chuck Burke, who's on chat right now. VO guy, aloha.
It's a K&M brand mic boom, which I didn't even know that existed. I didn't know they even made it.
But the nice thing is that the spring is on the inside, and it really isn't a spring. It's just some sort of a tensioner. It comes preloaded with a very good quality cable, and it goes wherever you want.
Internally cabled.
It's internally
really
cabled, and it's just excellent. And it's not cheap. I think it lists for like $250, and Chuck bought it on some website for like $160. But
Sweet.
the best arm I've ever owned. And you know the other ones with those big chrome springs along there. You would get, if you hit the right note, you would actually get a resonance on those springs. You know, it was almost like it would make a little ring, 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 ring.
Yeah.
Here's another one that you really want to watch out for. This is terrible. In a studio, this took me at least a day and a half. I was having a problem that I was playing back stuff, and I was hearing this little ping noise intermittently. And so I was like, geez, all right, I'm going to have to go through the whole audio chain, and this is back when there was racks full of stuff. And then I said, all right, I'm putting some coffee on, and I'm getting down to it, and I put the coffee on, and I came back to my workstation to tear everything apart, and it was gone. And then I thought, well, I'll just check this and that, and check this and that, and check this and that. And as the coffee cup, which was very good china, was emptied, the monitor speakers were creating a little pingy resonance on the fine china in front of the it was a cup. So make it simple, and then you don't have to tear so many things apart. That's the thing. And you can take it on the road. If you have a DBX, if you have a nice outboard piece of equipment, yes, through a long process of really, obsessively, compulsively listening to plugins and settings, trying to replicate it in the software, it can be done. But better just go clean right into the thing, do it on the outboard software, and just go. And that way you can take the whole thing with you. And the other part of it too, boy, it's nice having a large diaphragm microphone. They don't travel well. They're bulky. They're sensitive. They can break. They're not that durable.
Yeah, your 103s, U87s.
They're beautiful, and they sound warm and luscious. But you get a 416 like this, you can hammer nails with it. You can do location sound in the desert in a windstorm. I mean, they do it for movies, and they're pretty
That's
tough.
what it's for, right?
Yeah.
Exactly. And they also reject a lot of the outside noise. Like here, if you were, here at George's, you would hear the sounds of all of the servants preparing the meal, and you would also hear the sounds of the waterfall in George's backyard grotto. We don't talk about that. What happens in the grotto stays in the grotto. But if you can just simplify it. I know Zurich is a good friend of everybody's, the creator of Voice Over Universe. He's gone into a very simple way of doing things, and he's taken the outboard stuff that sounds really good off the chain, and then he can put it back on the back end. So that's my advice.
Yeah, I agree. The back end is really, everything should be done in post. You want the cleanest signal up front, and therefore, because once it's there on the front end, it's there forever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
so you want to make sure that you've got a clean signal from the get-go. And a lot of people are always asking us, well, don't I need one of these? And don't I, Diane was just telling us about her DBX, and every time I hear that, I go, well, if you've got a noise problem, chances are it's probably coming from there. And a DBX is essentially designed to make broadcast stuff louder. And if you're doing e-learning stuff, why would you do that?
Right. Exactly.
So,
yeah, they can eat just as well as they can maybe help some things. They can really screw stuff up.
And simplicity will help you in performance, because this is what all of this stuff is there for. It's to capture your performance. So if you have to wear the hat of somebody who's an engineer, who's running a board, who's doing the recording, who's going to be responsible for the editing, you don't want any of those things to be going through your head while you're in performance mode, because that's the only hat you should be wearing.
I get slammed for that on the forum sometimes. I know, Dan, I posted something a while ago about saying you can't do both things at the same time. And a lot of people are telling me, I do both the same things. I do both all the time. I do both sides of the coin. And I'm actually trying to do both sides of the coin right now on the show. That's why there's so many stupid mistakes. it's really it's really, really hard to do. It's really
It's hard to
do.
watch.
Even if you've had years of engineering experience. Yeah. So it's the whole thing, the whole idea of multitasking. I'm a believer now that you really can't truly, in the truest sense of the word, multitask. You can't be completely invested in the script, the performance of the script, the acting, and also keeping an eye on a VU meter. You just can't. It's different from radio, where radio is a different animal, where you're staring at the modulation and it's all in your head. Voice acting is so different, and that's why I think there's so much confusion. I know there was for me when I was working with voice actors at first. I couldn't figure out why you didn't wear headphones most of the time. That to me was a totally foreign concept. Of course you wear headphones. You got to hear what you're doing, but it takes you out of the performance. So yeah, you just can't do both equally at the same time.
I sound fine. I'm not wearing headphones, and there's an added benefit now. I can't hear Dan.
Because I'm not saying anything.
Now I can.
Been listening to you guys chatter on there.
Yeah.
Now, did you come out of a radio background and doing commercial production like I did?
I just celebrated. Well, it's not really a celebration. It's more of just a marking the occasion, because I started in radio behind the microphone, paid. For the first day was the day they attempted to assassinate Ronald Reagan.
Oh,
so
boy.
I just had a 30th anniversary, and my first day was, playing the jingle, then some music, and then some commercials, and then flip it over to the network. Yeah, flip it over to the network for the rest of the day, which was fine. And then I learned the board while Frank Reynolds was saying,
actually kind of handy.
"Let's get our story straight here." 30 years, and my first job actually was before that. It was a voiceover. It was for learning. Remember, they had the dialogue tapes for the language labs in school. You would learn a language, and so I grew up outside of Boston, and so I went into Boston to record for Heinle and Heinle Publishing Company, and it was German. And so I worked with these two ladies who were German of a certain age, and they both reminded me of Uta Hagen from Boys from Brazil. So she was, they would, and they would take breaks and smoke cigarettes the way Gestapo would, like holding it like this. So John, tell us about your childhood. And I'm like, they're kind of crazy ladies, but it was great. And they would do their thing, and they would say, "Wer schmeckt der Wein aus einem Krugwunschstein?" Listen to the following sentence and then repeat after the tone. And they did the whole thing live. So that was the first gig. Right. And then I had comedy at Emerson College with Dennis Leary was my comedy teacher.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you learned a little bit about sarcasm.
There was no, he was very supportive.
Not to be sarcastic.
Yeah, not to be sarcastic, Dan. But he was a great teacher, and I worked with some neat people, and then back to radio, did morning shows, and moved to L.A. It'll be coming up on 6 years. Was not invited to come here.
Just sort of showed up.
I I had a Pat Fraley class.
I wasn't invited either.
I had a Pat Fraley class, and I flew in for that. It was a Dan O'Day thing, and Pat made me his voice chimp for the symposium. And I remember getting a little loaded at the bar that night and literally crying in my beer. I have to move to Los Angeles, and I'm scared. Yeah, that's what it was. I knew I had to move here. And it wasn't so much for the work, but it was for the training that you could get with the people like Pat Fraley and Bob Bergen and Maurice Tobias and all of the folks that have Nancy Wolfson. Now they make their way around the country, but I highly recommend you get training wherever you are, and you can do it remotely. You weren't really doing it as often remotely back then. They did some phone stuff, but so that's what I did. I just packed up and moved. Yep.
And the rest is history.
It's all. I've never had a day job in L.A.
Really?
I was talking to Bo Weaver the other day, name dropper, but we were talking about how the fact that we had jobs behind the mic in Los Angeles from home studios or other studios before anybody really noticed us as just voiceover people. He worked for TransStar Radio Networks, which was a great satellite radio network. So he wasn't on the air in Los Angeles. I was running remotely a production department for a radio station in West Palm Beach called WRMF. I had been their production director, and I said, hey, you know what? I'd like to extend my microphone cord. And they said, oh, really? Yeah, I'd like to extend it by 2,798 miles. Can we do this? And they let me do it. So I had a year working as their production director from Los Angeles.
From
the
LA.
station. Yeah, so it was like a scholarship. I never had to work at a restaurant. Not that there's anything wrong with it. Any waiters out there who want to do voiceover and might be contemplating spitting in my food. I was lucky that I had a microphone job. Yeah. Oh, I also do some, speaking of that, do a little bit of live announce. Maybe, 3 or 4 things a year. And I take this same audio chain with me. And the same boom.
Consistency is key. I mean, that takes me to last, consistency is so important. So if you figure out an audio chain or set up microphone and system that you can use in multiple places, that is also really useful. So
what's the one that the NTG3?
The NTG3 is sort of a very close proximity of a 416, in very comparative in sound. A little bit of EQ, you can make it sound exactly like a 416, and they're $300-400 cheaper.
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
look out for those NTG3s, not the 1s or the 2s, the 3s. So.
Yeah.
Well,
So, John, you're gonna stay on with us for a little bit
Sure.
for our next segment.
Whatever you
Excellent.
need.
thanks
Well,
for-
we've got another caller coming up in just a little bit, and we're also going to have bad audio of the week. Can't wait.
Thanks, everybody.
We'll be right back here on East West Audio Body Shop. In the modern world of voiceover, whether you've got years of experience or you're a newbie, having a home studio is essential. A home studio is a unique environment. Every voice is different, every room is different. Advice from friends is great, but you need someone with the experience of setting up hundreds of home voiceover studios. I'm Dan Lenard, the home studio master. Let me show you the best place in your home to set up, the right equipment, and how to properly use recording software. Plus, I troubleshoot your home studio nightmares. Wherever in the world you are, having a home studio is essential, but that doesn't mean you have to be a recording engineer. Let me show you how easy it is. Go to homestudiomaster.com or email me at homestudiomaster@verizon.net. I guarantee results. In the modern... And we're back live here on East West Audio Body Shop. Dan Lenard here in Buffalo, George Whittam out in Los Angeles. John Taylor, you're still with us, right?
Yeah, I was just in the gift shop. They have a very nice gift shop here at stately Whittam Manor.
Yes, it's the East West Audio Body Shop.
Yeah.
Dan, turn your camera back on. It seems
it
to
is
have been interrupted.
There's a giant mustache. That's all we see is a
All
giant.
you see is the mustache.
Turn it off and then turn it back on and see if the camera comes back on.
While we're waiting for George to do that, I'd like to introduce a new product from John Taylor's own laboratories. It's my road kit. It's there are some people that have portable apparatus that would fit around a microphone, creating an excellent place to record sound. Mine is called the Backpack Master 2011, and basically what I do is I just put myself inside of my backpack, and I record.
That's pretty amazingly dead sounding.
Yeah, and you
amazing?
can, and
Holy crap.
for only $499. You too can sound like this.
A little bit of bass reflex in there.
Yeah, but that's because of Mr. EQ over here.
Yeah, right. That's all my fault. I'm turning the knobs.
Yeah, but anyway, the Backpack Master 2011 on sale now in the EWABS gift shop. You just go right through the maze and then past the grotto, and it's right there in the gift shop.
Back at you, Dan.
By the way, is the camera back on?
Yeah, totally.
Okay. See, now if you were wondering, here's the Pro Prompter. I actually finally found it. It's like, see how cool this is, and you can like speed it up and
It's
slow
totally
it down.
cool.
You need a mirror.
Actually, what you do is you can actually set. Well, actually, it actually is backwards.
Yeah, so you need to have
it's
one of
for a
those
mirror.
those Barack Obama things.
Yeah, it's for
That's right.
It's in
Glass
Barack
plates.
Obama mode.
Yeah,
Right.
That's
so
nice.
so you can just have it right there in front of you as you're reading, and because the new iPad 2's multitask, you should be able to record and run ProPrompter at the same time.
and play a good game of Angry Birds.
But don't even start with me with Angry Birds.
I have never seen an Angry Bird virtually, only in real life.
Yes. Whee! Anyway, that's a game I get hooked on. Not that I ever have time for that kind of stuff.
Cool. You weren't showing up in my ready to call list, but I searched for you and I found you, so you're ready to go.
This is fascinating. My mic was on; they could hear all of that.
They could.
Yeah.
Yes. They could hear you, George. But so I'm going to take it that our next caller has actually joined us.
I would guess that. Oh, great and powerful Oz! Now that you've ripped the curtain away, so that we could see your.
See, I'm not used to doing the show with a guest in the studio meeting.
Yeah, I'll bet that's really distracting.
You guys are lucky. I
distracting.
I sat here silently for the first half hour. I've never spent a half hour quiet in my life.
So you see the power we have. Anyway, do we have our next caller, George?
Yes, we do.
All right. Good evening. Welcome to East West Audio Body Shop. Who's calling?
Well, it's Andy from Blacksburg. Gentlemen, how are you this evening?
Blacksburg, go Hokies!
Dun, 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 dun. Oh, wait, that's the wrong song. Sorry.
Close enough.
But yeah, go Hokies. Yeah.
Go Hokies.
Or as when they lose the big one in the clutch, as we like to call them locally, the Jokies.
Chokies. Go Chokies.
Does the Virginia Tech have a really good sports program, or just a lot of calculators on the sideline?
Very good football program until the game gets really interesting or the season gets interesting, and then it's anybody's ball game.
Yeah, really.
Chokies.
Ask JMU.
Well, this is really fascinating. Next on ESPN, we're going to be talking about other rural teams that I don't care about.
Rural? Oh, dear God, now he's gone the rural route just because you're in L.A. Oh, dear God, help us all.
Well, yeah, those are areas I generally fly over.
Well, yeah, most people do.
Maybe if there was engine trouble, I might land.
It's a beautiful part of the country. I spent 5 years and 1 semester there myself.
Yeah. My dad lives in Leesburg.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
nice.
a great area. I love it. Wouldn't leave it.
Yeah.
So there you go.
So what do you do down there, and why do you need our help to do it?
Well, of course, I am, like everyone else listening tonight, a professional voice actor, voiceover type. And occasionally, I had to take it on the road with me. So I packed up my trusty laptop, my MicPort Pro, and my microphone, and went to New York City, and was fortunate enough to stay on the 23rd floor of the lovely Four Seasons, and I recommend it. If you want fabulous accommodations and great customer service, there is no better place to go than that. But for recording, not so much. So my question...
May I recommend the Backpack Master 2011?
It's funny you should say that because, I didn't have a whole lot of time in between the reason I was there and the minor, thank God they were minor gigs I had to actually, pony up while I was on the road. However, I couldn't, really tune it in the way I wanted to. I didn't have a lot of time. I didn't have a lot of resources. And it caused me to wonder, could one go the porta booth route when traveling in such a way, or perhaps the backpack master way? Or is it better to simply rely on the pillow palace or the comforter castle approach?
I don't make any profit off of that, so I would say no. But
Okay.
But what was the microphone you were using?
Oh, and let's not go there. But it was a dynamic. It was actually an EV-RE20.
RE20, yeah.
Okay.
Well, I mean, RE20s work pretty well on the road because of their ability to reject noise
Or
pretty
sound?
well. Or sound. Yeah.
Or sound.
Well,
I didn't see that one coming. So, really, though, the thing I found that the room reflection from that particular mic in that particular situation was actually quite forgivable.
Yeah.
The bass response, however, was
yeah.
unbelievable. And it left me scratching my head an awful lot.
Yeah, you dropped for a second, but you were saying that the bass response was way over the top? You mean it was exaggerated or underperforming?
Again, the room reflection was unbelievably, in my estimation, acceptable. Considering I wasn't using anything beyond the curtains in the room to reflect or to absorb the reflected sound. But the bass response that I was getting was unbelievable, and I kind of because I was in a hurry, I chalked that up to mic placement.
Yep.
However, there's got to be a better way to create a more consistent sound with where you are at home versus where you are on the road, because conditions change, but they don't have to sound like they do. And that's my question.
Right.
How
it's really hard to do. I mean, that's why the 416 has a big advantage, because
Directional.
it's so super directional, but also sensitive. So you can put it in the right place each time and get very similar results that way.
Yes.
The RE20, when you're trying to get up really close to get enough volume before it starts to turn to hiss,
you get a lot of proximity
You have
with
to
that.
get right on top of it. The bass buildup gets really bad. So you have to get to be a kind of a cowboy with the processor presets in your software and start to understand, well, when I'm in this kind of situation, I need to use this EQ setting. And when I'm in this kind of a situation, I might need to use this EQ setting. It takes a little bit of production know-how, a little ingenuity to kind of work around it. But your question is, would a porta booth be worth it? If you get a porta booth and it sounds, and you can get a porta booth to make it sound, answer, speaking, this is what I do for, okay. If you get a porta booth and find that it gets the sound that most closely matches what you're doing at home, then maybe it's a good idea. Because if you take that with you,
use it at home.
Yeah,
There's no reason to say you couldn't use the porta booth in your house, and then when you went on the road, because the porta booth isn't going to reject everything and isolate your room. Now, if you have a nice isolated space, then your home is better for that. But the porta booth isn't going to really affect. I wouldn't expect it would affect the coloration of a lot in your booth. So
no.
It really doesn't.
I wouldn't put one in a booth,
right?
But
I'm saying, use it in the booth and on the road, and then you're really in the same little spot.
That's the point. I mean, the point we're going for is consistency. So if the sound that you're getting kind of relies on that booth to be used, then you will get more consistency. But experiment if you got one and use it outside your booth at home, and you can get a sound that's kind of similar to what the sound is that you get inside your booth. Then it might work out really well for you.
So
and I would say
I could just turn it back into a closet.
Yeah, and then use the Backpack Master 2011. It's only $4.99.
Yeah, and put the decimal after the second line.
So, I mean, I don't have a perfect answer, but I can tell you how to achieve what you want, and that's basically what you're.
But
going
you also
for.
have to go out. Yeah, but you also have to go out in the hallway and unplug the Coke machine.
Yes, the ice maker.
Very important to
Charlie
do.
Sheen.
Sure. And how do you unplug the housekeeping staff?
I have an answer for that. And it's a secret as to who taught me this, because I do not want to incriminate anybody, but somebody showed me the do not disturb technique. You steal as many of those signs off the maid card as you can. And then when it's time to record, you hang up all and dump it down the hall.
You nary a vacuum cleaner will be heard on the 23rd floor.
You can even do it to the room above you, right
that's
before.
Outstanding. I never thought of guerrilla voiceover tactics.
Yeah, sure.
Awesome. I love it.
There you go.
Outstanding.
Perfect.
Beautiful.
Well, I hope that helped.
there you
Good
go.
luck with that, Andy.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks
Don't go
for calling
changing.
in, man.
And
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us
Take
tonight.
care, Blacksburg.
We love
We'll
it
see
here.
you on the road.
Take care.
Yes,
Andy.
indeed.
We'll catch up about Blacksburg.
Our next caller, Wolfboro, New Hampshire.
Yeah, come in, Pittsburgh. All right. Okay, so, well, we're almost out of time here today, but we want to go to our favorite segment. It's now time for, you got that queued up, George?
Yes, I do. Here it is.
Okay.
Is this thing on?
And now it's time for another exciting episode of Bad Audio of the Week.
Yeah.
All right. Are you ready for this? Somebody sent us this, and we're like, what on earth is this? Is a demo from somebody. I think it speaks for itself.
All right. All right. Let me cue this up for you. Here it is. You guys, actually, you're not going to hear this, Dan, while I'm airing it, but everybody else will. Technical limitation.
Okay.
Consider yourself lucky.
Yeah, consider yourself
really.
lucky, Dan. Okay. Let's see. Here it is, and 3, 2, and...
Tired of the same old beer, introducing Molson Ice. Welcome to the Icy. Katie woke up dry for the first time in ages. Pampers Ultra Dry Thins. Katie stays dry, and I've got a very special memory. 15 years ago, a child began her journey, and a drop of water began its journey, and the water can be called Evian. There's something about a train that's magic. All aboard Amtrak. No matter how many times you look away, the homeless are still there. Help us look after them. New York Telephone is now 9X. Same service, new hat.
Oh, my gosh.
Hey, Whittakers. Well,
Wow.
we're not afraid of embarrassing anybody on that, because chances are they're probably not working anymore.
Yeah.
That's from a long time ago. We would never... Yeah.
I have changed the way I speak. Why are you making fun of me? Leave me alone.
Oops.
I don't make fun of you because of your mustache. Oh, yes, I do. But that's besides the point.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. That's a good find. Who found that, Dan?
Don't say.
I know who found it. I
All right.
actually
Don't
was,
don't tell anybody.
All right.
We don't want to get
won't-
anyone in trouble. We don't want them
But
to
it's-
create figure out who it is through, association.
Yeah.
So somebody else out there has probably heard that one, though.
Yeah,
So-
that's great.
But anyway, if you've got some bad audio, something that you've heard or something that you're like really proud of yourself, please send it to us at ewabshop@gmail.com, and we'll make it Bad Audio of the Week. We're going to find this stuff. It's everywhere. And George and I, being in the fix it your home studio type of business, we hear it all the time.
Yeah.
Nothing like that bad.
Yeah, I mean,
it's like, oh, wait.
That's
The
sort
audio
of a
on that wasn't
special
all that
case.
bad.
I mean, that was a case of performance, and I will never make fun of performance personally, unless it's something like that where it's so far removed, it's so old, it's made, it's way out there. But I will never I want to protect my clients and make them realize that I will never poke fun of anybody's work.
Not in
on
public.
The show,
of course
in
not.
private we will.
But if anybody wants to, take one for the team, and we did a before and after, where your audio before was noisy or whatever it was, and then after it was so much better. If you ever want to take one for the team, help out the community, and use your sample as an example, that'd be fantastic. And we'd love to feature it on the show because everybody's making the same mistakes. A lot of people are making the same mistakes, and sometimes it's just literally turning this knob and turning that knob. But we're not, voice actors are not trained in engineering. I mean, I spent a lot of money and time in school to learn engineering and to understand signal chains and all that stuff. And you guys shouldn't have to know that stuff. So,
and you can run a choo-choo as well.
Exactly.
You learned that in engineering.
I'm sorry, I'm going to talk like that guy for the rest of the week.
Should we wrap this one up, guys? What do you think?
I think we've pretty much overstayed our welcome for another week. And we'll be back next week, 8 o'clock Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific, here on East West Audio Body Shop. And our special guest next week will be one of the great coaches out in La La Land. Mark Cashman will be joining us.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Hey, do you validate? Here at
we do, actually.
Stately Whittam Manor. It's lovely.
Awesome. Well, I can't wait to see Mark. Maybe I can lure him to come into the studio, although it is a pretty far drive for Mark. He does live
he lives up
in the
there.
Canyonlands.
He lives in the Canyonlands.
But he's got that beautiful studio.
It is.
So
maybe I should do it from his studio.
Yeah, maybe you should.
Hey, there's an idea.
You might want to shave.
I'll shave for the show.
Hey, even I waxed my mustache.
Yeah, no, we noticed that. Don't lean in towards candles.
That's why I put the pop screen here so you can't see I didn't shave.
Yeah.
Or
bathe.
That's why I put the pop screen here so you can't smell it.
All right.
John, all right. Thanks for being with us tonight. That was a treat having you with us.
Yeah, it was a treat here.
Yeah, it sounds like
No, it was. It was a lot of fun. George is one of the best people in this industry. He's a stand-up guy just as a guy. And then you add the expertise to it. We actually, it's great. I love working with you.
Thanks, John, man. Thanks for coming in.
Thanks for being with us.
All right, everybody.
Well, that's all for this week. Yep. And I'm Dan Lenard in the East.
I'm George Whittam in the West.
And I'm John Taylor, and I'm leaving.
That's fine. See you later. And
Bye-bye.
Together, all of us are East West Audio Body Shop. We'll see you next Sunday.
Everybody.